What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing very well. I'm definitely feeling much better than I was the last 2 days. So, this will be, I should have much more energy, be a little more peppy in this video. So we're going to talk about Guardian Druid in Dragonflight and what has changed in terms of the talents. I'm going to show a little bit of gameplay from the Old Demon dungeon I did. The dungeons are a little bit pointless to do right now because everybody is so crazy geared who's doing it, and you can't test anything, realistically speaking. But I am going to show you some footage from that. I want to talk about talents, and I want to talk about what has changed for Guardian Druid. So let's start right there. Let's get into the talents. On the class side, you're getting a lot of what you've had before, obviously. You know, we've got Stampeding Roar, and you've got your kick up here, and there's some bonuses to your tankiness. So physical damage and armor increased by 6%, so you get more damage and more armor, which is good. Some Bark Skin buffs. You do get Renewal down at the bottom. It's not too crazy for Bear. You just kind of pick and choose whatever you want. Like, basically, you're going down the middle, and that's basically what you're going to be doing every single time, right? So you want damage reduction, of course. They've really made it a lot of your utility is here. On the spec side, what has changed since they first sort of released this tree? Well, finally I've been able to test basically what this tree emphasizes, which is if you go down the left side, you're looking at a lot of Maul talents. A lot of talents that augment and buff Maul, which is not something that we've had in the game for really a while. There's like one talent, I think, in Shadowlands near the bottom, which is Tooth and Claw, which was in Shadowlands, but wasn't taken very much because, again, it competed with other talents that were in the same row, which is always what has been the problem. And now we're really taking the shackles off. We're really, everybody can be free to choose all these different talents at the same time now. And so now Tooth and Claw's value goes way up, not only because it's not competing for, like, Rend and Tear, for example, which was the go-to talent, but now there are other talents that also support Maul. Let's talk about those. The right side of the tree is about Moonfire and arcane damage. We're going to get there in a second. This side, basically, you're going to start with Tooth and Claw, okay? Auto attacks have a 20% chance to empower Maul, stacking 2 times. Empowered Mauls deal 40% more damage and reduce the target's damage to you by 15%. Very, very strong. So very good for single target damage and also defensiveness against like a raid boss, okay? That's number 1. Some Shadow Priest is just going off here. Let's just back up for a second. Number 2, Maul has a 30% increased chance to critically strike. Now, we already have a decent amount of crit as a bear. I've got 29% here. Actually, Lycara's teachings is very good for bear. It gives you 6% versatility, which is very good for bear, right? Because you do a lot of self-healing. So, but you also get some crit from Mark of the Wild. So 3% increased crit from Mark of the Wild helps you to synergize a little bit with Maul, getting this 30% increased critical strike chance. Now, Maul critting is very good for damage, but is it good for defense? I'm going to show you in a minute why it is. Mangle increases the damage of your next Maul. Maul increases damage of your next Mangle. That's a conduit that we have in Shadowlands. It's a talent here now. Very, very good. Synergizing between Maul and Mangle. Then you're going to look down here. This is one of the very first sort of really big bonuses to Maul. This buffs Berserk. So increases your haste by 15% and reduces the rage cost of Maul by 50%, which is really interesting. So Berserk is up here, baseline. Reduces the cooldown on Mangle, Thrash, and Growl by 100%. Only lasts 15 seconds, of course, because Incarn is down here. Makes it last 30 seconds. Causes Mangle to hit 3 targets. Yada, yada. The real bonus you would get there is that you're going to combine Incarn with whatever extra Berserk effect you're taking. You can take the Maul one over here, or you can take the defensive one over here, which reduces the cooldown on Frenzy Regeneration by 100% and the cost of Iron Fur by 50%. So it really just depends what you want to do. If you want to go really mega defensive, which might be like when you're progressing a raid, right? When you're doing raid fights and you're progging, your tanks need to be the most survivable that they can ever be because usually you're low on gear, and so you want to be able to survive. So this is it. You've got Tooth and Claw, Vulnerable Flesh, Vicious Cycle. Okay, these are all Maul buffing abilities. Unchecked Aggression, which is the Berserk Maul buff. And then you really have the final piece of it, which down here is Ursox, and they've changed Ursox to not just proc off of Thrash, but it procs off of Maul now. your Thrash and Maul grant you an absorb shield for 75% of the damage that they deal. So buffing any damage that Maul deals will buff the shield that you will get. So now getting 30% additional crit on Maul is really substantial, because if your Maul crits, your shield goes up in value. So all of these buffs to Maul will give you bigger shields, which is really, really cool and is a noticeable trend. So I have a Tooth and Claw proc right now. I'm going to press Maul. There we go. So I have 15% damage reduction, and I got a big shield from Ursox. It got consumed right away because this training dummy. Watch this. Maul. Now my Ursox shield is up. Now it's down. This training dummy. But you can just press Maul. You can kind of press Maul instead of pressing Iron Fur, which is not really what you're going to be doing. But it's just something that you could do. You got to hear me out here. There's definitely a world where you could just press Maul instead of pressing Iron Fur, because you're going to get that shield. 3,600 damage I'm absorbing. There we go. Thrash gives me a shield. Maul gives me a shield. Now I'm double dipping, right? Mangle into Thrash. Okay. Into Maul. And I keep getting these Ursox shields that keep proccing. Thrash into Maul. Bigger Ursox shield. There, I got 5,800. Obviously, this is only on single target. But this is like consistent healing that you get to use. And this is how you're going to keep yourself alive on a raid boss fight until you really need to start using Frenzy Regen, which I'll use right now. Just one proc of it. Might as well use it. Now, I do have the Berserk bonus that buffs my Maul. So here we go. We're going to go Berserk. And then we're going to make sure we press Maul. And then we're going to press Mangle into Maul. Mangle into Maul. We're going to go Thrash into Maul. You could just keep thrashing into Maul. Actually, that might be the better play, because Thrash and Maul are both giving you shields, right? So you can see my Ursox shield's getting a little bit bigger. It's really stopping all the damage that's coming in. This is how you're going to sort of mitigate damage as a bear druid. You're going to be pressing Maul, and you're going to be giving yourself shields until you can get back to Frenzied Regen. Obviously, you can press Iron Fur, and you probably should. I haven't really tested this enough to know exactly what the best play to... I'm not to know what the best way to do this is, but you can basically be mauling until you want to use Frenzied Regen, and you're giving yourself... All of the mauls with the Thrashes are giving you shields, and those shields are very substantial. It's substantial now, especially if you get a Tooth and Claw proc, which I haven't got one in a little while, which is kind of frustrating. There might be a really good reason to take haste, actually, on bear. My haste is very low. It's only 18%. I'm going to use this. On top of that, you've got other tools that will help you sustain. Obviously, you have Bark Skin, which I'm not pressing right now. If you noticed, I haven't pressed Bark Skin because it's going to trigger... I'm going to cheat a little bit. It's going to trigger my 4-piece set bonus, which I don't really want to do that because I don't want the 4-piece set bonus to trigger. So I'm going to avoid pressing Bark Skin. But obviously, you would be pressing Bark Skin. And you have Pulverize is back. So I'm going to take Pulverize. I haven't been pressing it, unfortunately. But you can press Pulverize. It's another flat damage reduction that you're getting. So you're getting 35% reduced damage taken when you press Pulverize. It obviously consumes a couple of your Thrashes, but that's not really a big deal. So between the damage reduction that you're getting from your Tooth and Claw Mauls, so there's one right there. I have 15% damage reduction right now. There's Tooth and Claw. You can see it. There's 15% damage reduction that you're getting most of the time from Tooth and Claw. Then, if you really need a big damage reduction, you can press Pulverize. You can weave your Pulverize in there. You're getting shields from Maul and from Thrash all the time, which are basically, it's, you know, that would be considered healing, of course. Then you have your big cooldowns like Bark Skin and Survival Instincts, which are going to be giving you big damage reduction. Allows you to kind of chill out for a little bit and not have to spend any of your resources. This is sort of similar to the other tanks that we've been seeing of Warrior and Paladin, where you have a bunch of buttons that you can weave your way through. Here, my Renewal's coming back. I'm going to press Renewal. There we go. Now I'm going to go back to the regular rotation of trying to press Thrash into Maul to get those shields. That's the sort of second to second, moment to moment sustain that you're giving yourself is from Thrash shields and Maul shields. When you really need to survive, you press Survival Instincts, you press Frenzy Regeneration, and then you're waiting for cooldowns to come back. Look, my Berserk's back. We're going to go Berserk now. Let's do that. Thrash, Maul. Let's go Maul into Thrash, into Maul, into Thrash, into Maul, into Thrash. We're getting ourselves shields. Basically, while Berserk is up, you can maintain whatever health threshold you're at. I realize I'm dying and it's not very good. But another thing to keep in mind here is that I do not have maximum level yet. I'm not level 70. So it's not a very, once you get level 70, it feels like Guardian Druid needs those extra levels to really shine. Right now I'm kind of in a bit of a gimped state, and it doesn't work super well. But you can see that's the basic rotation there. I've got the dummy up to 25 stacks now, and I barely pressed Barkskin. I might have pressed Barkskin like twice. I was trying not to press it because I have my my 4 set, which triggers off of Barkskin, so it's kind of cheating. But you can see, guys, that you've got your major cooldowns, okay? You've got Barkskin, you have Renewal, you've got Berserk, you've got Survival Instincts. You've got a bunch of buttons that you can rotate through. There's kind of like moment-to-moment healing, which is going to come from Maul now, and it's going to come from Thrash because you're getting it from the Ursoc shield. That's your moment-to-moment healing. Once you get to about 50% HP, you can start using Frenzy Regen to actually get yourself back to full. If you want a big pick-me-up, you can just use Renewal, which, again, Renewal doesn't compete for anything else on the class tree. You can still take Wild Charge, and you can take Renewal at the same time. So very, very good that way. It's just free healing for a Bear Druid. Then when you really need to give yourself some big damage reduction, you can press Pulverize, you can press Survival Instincts. Those are your big, like, DRs that you're going to be like, if you're getting slammed really hard by a boss, let's say you're in Sepulchre of the first ones, and you're fighting the Guardian, he does that tank slam, right, where he hits one time, then he hits the other tank, and then he hits you again. If you time that incorrectly on your taunts, you're going to die. That's when you press Pulverize, right, have 35% DR. That's when you might want to press Survival Instincts, have 50% DR. In the meantime, you're going to have sort of all these different layers of defense. The moment-to-moment healing from Maul and Thrash. The middle-of-the-road heals from, like, Frenzy Regeneration and Barkskin, okay, and Iron Fur applications. And then maybe a Renewal. Those are kind of your 1 to 2 minute cooldowns. And then your big, big defensive layers that you want, which would be Pulverize, Survival Instincts, and Berserk, depending how you want to build Berserk. Okay, so that's kind of like how you want to do that. Now, how does the rest of the talent tree work out? Let me just get the dungeon footage going here for you. So the rest of the talent tree is dedicated, of course, to arcane damage and Moonfire, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that right now. So you're going to see some of the dungeon footage here. It's not, don't worry, it's not the best, but it's just the way that, unfortunately, these dungeons are so easy right now. They're just really, really easy. But one thing you can do is start to spec into Moonfire tech, and you can obviously start with Galactic Guardian. That's like what sets off. That's like the beginning for all of your Moonfire stuff. You really have to take Galactic Guardian. Gives you a chance to trigger that free Moonfire, and it's going to do 300% direct damage. There, we got that good. Okay, we're good to go. Now, where do we go from there? Well, there's a couple of other talents now. There's one called Scintillating Moonlight and Twin Moonfire. So Scintillating Moonlight says Moonfire reduces the damage dealt to you by 4%. So anybody that's got Moonfire on them does 4% less damage to you. That's very significant in Mythic Plus, in particular in AoE. Twin Moonfire says Moonfire deals 20% more damage, also hits an additional nearby enemy. So you get 2 Moonfires going out. Now, your Galactic Guardian will also be pumping out extra Moonfires. So you're just going to be getting, like, Moonfires going out everywhere. And then you're going to be taking 4% less damage from all the enemies that are hitting you with Moonfire. Okay? So that's the beginning of the Moonfire setup. Then we have Fury of Nature, which says, while in bear form, you do 20% more arcane damage, which is obviously all Moonfire. Very, very good. This is, like, pretty incredible. Then you're going to get into Elune's Favor, and this is where it all kind of comes together, right? So you've got, while in bear form, you deal 30% increased arcane damage, and you are healed for 30% of all arcane damage done. Very interesting. So now we have Moonfires that are spreading all over the place because of Galactic Guardian and Twin Moonfire. You're taking 4% less damage from anybody that's got Moonfire on them. Your Moonfire now does 50% more damage because you're doing 30% more arcane damage from Elune's Favor, 20% more arcane damage from Twin Moonfire. Okay. So you have 50% more Moonfire damage. And now it's healing you for 30% of all of the damage that it deals. This scales up with more targets, right? The more targets you have with Moonfire on them, the more damage reduction you're going to get from Scintillating Moonlight. And Elune's Favor is going to be healing you for 30% of all that extra damage. So this might end up being a substantial amount of healing in Mythic Plus, like an environment like this Oldemon dungeon. But like I can't test it here because I'm not taking any damage because it's a really low-level dungeon. And my gear is pretty good on my Druid from all the stuff I've done in Shadowlands. So unfortunately, we can't really test this in a good way right now. I'm going to try to get my Druid to the open world and try testing this on just a whole bunch of mobs out in the open world. That's going to be my next little like test here. But Elune's Favor looks to me to be like an amazing new way for Guardian Druid to have that innate sustain. So instead of getting damage reduction or getting a bubble from Ursox from Maul, you're going to be getting healing from Elune's Favor. But you can also get the bubble from Ursox from your Thrash, right? So you could do like an AoE Thrash build plus a Moonfire build where you're healing all the time from your Moonfire damage and you're getting shields from Thrash, which is substantial. I feel like you just like be almost invincible in Mythic Plus, which is really, really cool. Finally, the very last piece of this is going to be Circle of Life and Death, which has your damage over time effects deal their damage in 25% less time, and your healing over time effects in 15% less time. So what this does is it speeds up your Moonfires. I don't know if this actually goes twice. Let me just 1 second here. It doesn't change, so I think it just caps out at 25%. So your Moonfires are going to be ticking 25% faster, which means they're going to be healing you 25% more quickly. That's pretty cool, right? They're going to be doing their damage quicker, which means all their damage is going to be healing you more quickly because of Elune's Favor. So that's kind of the right-hand side of the tree. It's got a lot of Moonfire tech. In the bottom of the right-hand side of the tree are some abilities that we've seen before, things like Blood Frenzy or Soul of the Forest. There's just more about rage generation. You can pick up either of those if you want to. There's a couple of other... Guardian of Elune, which is something we never really picked in Mythic Plus that or ever. Mangle increasing the duration of Iron Fur. It might actually be really good now because it had some competing talents that were just made it not a really good choice. There is the buff to Berserk, which makes your Frenzy regen and Iron Fur costs go down, which is very interesting. Survival of the Fittest is over here, which is actually substantial. Reduces the cooldown on Bark Skin and Survival Instincts by 30%. Very, very good. And then finally, you've got Rage of the Sleeper, which is the Legion Artifact Weapon ability. So I haven't been able to take this yet. Again, I don't have a lot of talents, and I was just testing out one build today. But Rage of the Sleeper says that you unleash the Rage from Ursoc, preventing 25% of all damage you take and reflecting a small amount of nature damage back to your attackers. While active, you're immune to loss of control effects. So again, really, really good in Mythic Plus because you're reducing all damage taken by 25% for all enemies that are near you. But you could take this in a raid as well and have an additional big DR button. So then you could have Rage of the Sleeper plus Pulverize plus Tooth and Claw. So Maul gives you 15% DR. Pulverize can give you 35% DR. Frenzied Survival Instinct, gives you 50% DR already. Then you could take Rage of the Sleeper and have 25% DR. Like, it's kind of insane how tanky you could build your Guardian Druid if you really wanted to. I think that, like, there's definitely an option there for you to be thinking about just going pure tank. Maybe you're just doing progression in a raid boss fight and you want to just go pure tank. That's kind of the line that you would want to go. So it's looking really good, guys. I think Guardian Druid is looking good. There's definitely some obvious themes going on here. I'm going to recap everything right here. But I don't know how good it necessarily is going to be because I haven't been able to test it all yet. So, like, particularly the Moonfire stuff, I'm not entirely sure. But there's a lot of good single-target buffs coming for Guardian Druid, which is something they desperately needed, okay? In Mythic Plus, on raid boss or on raid boss fights, single target has been really, really bad. So all the Maul tech coming in, you've got Tooth and Claw, Vicious Cycle, the Berserk buffing it, and then getting a shield from Ursoc's Fury because of Maul. It's really going to make single target damage substantial and single target healing substantial for Guardian Druid, which is really good. Big AoE healing from the Moonfire tech. You can get lots of Moonfire spreading around to all kinds of different enemies, and now it's going to heal you with Elune's Favored, and you can still tech into the Thrash stuff from Ursoc's Fury. Sorry, I can't talk right now. So you can do that as well. You're going to have big cooldowns in the form of course, Pulverize and Maul coming in as well, giving you the extra benefits there. Pulverize giving you 35% DR, Maul giving you 15% DR. But again, Ursoc's Fury is over here for the big healing, for the big shielding over here with your Thrash. You can also get lots of healing from Moonfire, as we're seeing over here. I don't know how good this is going to be because I can't test it yet, but it looks like it could be strong. You still in the middle are going to get your big abilities like Incarn or Convoke. Convoke is a 2-minute cooldown. It's probably okay for Guardian Druid, but it's not necessarily a must pick. Incarn is going to be really strong if you're doing a build that focuses heavily on Berserk, and if you need it up there. And then again, on the right-hand side, to finish it off, we've got old passives that we had before. Things like Soul of the Forest and Blood Frenzy, giving you extra rage generation. After the Wildfire is healing your entire group, which is interesting. And then also Guardian of Elune being here with Survival of the Fittest, and then we have Rage of the Sleeper at the bottom. So I think there's definitely ways you could build Guardian Druid so he's like extremely tanky, extremely tanky with Rage of the Sleeper and Pulverize and this Berserk Persistence. Or you can go the opposite side and get some Mangle Tech, get a little bit more damage going on, and try to focus on giving yourself shields while buffing the amount of damage that you deal in single target. I think that there's definitely a substantial buff coming to Bear single target. We're going to need to see where this tree goes. I'm going to need to see how it feels when I'm at level 70, because I think they're really forcing you to choose one of these two pathways. That's just my feeling here. Like, I'm already level 70 or 61, I think. So I'm going to have like 5, maybe 6 more talent points to put in here. Maybe only 5, actually. So, like, if I only have 5 more points, like, I'm not even sure how I would fill the rest of this out. So, I'm going to have to see that, guys, when I'm leveling on my Druid. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about Guardian Druid. What do you think about this new direction? Do you think that they're going to be having lots of, like, single-target damage now? Do you think the single-target damage for Bear is definitely going to be saved, quote-unquote? Is it in a better state than it is in Shadowlands? Are they still just going to be the AoE Thrash King, and that we don't even care about the changes to Maul? I want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about Moonfire being able to spread around and the healing potentially from Elune's Favored? I'd love to know what you think in those comments down below. So let me know what you think, guys. Drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate all of that. Until the next one, I love you all. I'll see you later.